Hello, and welcome to Boomer and Beyond Wellness. I'm Angela Fischetti. So today we're going to do a class called Yoga-Based Stretches for the Inner Thighs. Those pesky hip adductors, ADD, meaning going in toward the midline of the body. But you'll notice here, in order to stretch them, I'm in a hip abduction. So I'm going out, away from the midline of the body. So you always want to stretch a muscle doing the opposite of its action. Now, the accessories we're using today are sticky yoga mat. I have two folded hand towels because for a couple of reasons. Some of you might have knee issues, and in particular, in this posture, you might be sitting kind of slouched and knees popped up. So we always want to have the joints supported. So that's why I love the use of the yoga blocks and the props. So in that case, if you're all slouched, etc., then you want to sit up on a block or two, a yoga block or two. So we're going to be using a couple of yoga blocks. And then you would fold up those towels and bring them underneath your knees, because your knees will kind of be suspended in midair. Not the greatest thing to do. So you want to have those joints supported, as I said before. We'll also be using a yoga strap, and they're a good 6 to 8 feet. You can get them 10 and 12 feet long as well. And if need be, to sit down, some might need a little bit additional cushioning underneath the buttocks. So this leads me into medical disclaimers, precautionary measures. Yoga mats, they can be made from latex. So if you do have a latex allergy, please look for non-latex or latex-free. Additionally, medicated or not for hypertension, GERD, vertigo, please do not do this. So it's a real forward flexion of the neck, the cervical spine, so you want to be careful of that. Conversely, for those of you who ever had a TIA, a transient ischemic attack, or a stroke, this type of movement, I want you to be careful. So I'm coming into a back extension, a little bit of a back bend, it's a spine extension, and I'm going to lift my chin. Now, most of us can do that, but some of us can't. So I would just advise TIA stroke to avoid that hyperextension of the cervical spine of the neck. If you've ever been diagnosed with any back spine issue whatsoever, postural deviations, in particular hyperkyphosis, which is that hunched appearance, if you have carpal tunnel syndrome, so that means this wrist hand position is contraindicated. It's called a wrist extension. It doesn't matter the position of the arm and forearm. It's all still a wrist extension. We want to avoid that. If you have a pinched nerve or a rotator cuff muscle issue, I would suggest you be a little careful of this kind of movement. Even this for medicated or not for hypertension. You might have been told not to lift the arms up and overhead. And if you have the knee issues, then yes, support the knee joints with the towels. And in this posture, you can be sitting up on the blocks. So this is to inform you to just make sure that you're breathing in and out through the nose, nice and gently, because it's a nice gauge as to how much you're exerting. So you don't want to hold your breath when you do this type of work. And so I do invite those of you with chronic concerns, and I did mention a number of them, to preview the video first and look for what you can do. However, if you're not too sure after watching it, then I would invite the medical healthcare practitioner who knows your body best to preview it as well and help you make an informed decision. Now, we've been talking in this position for a while. Upavishta Konasana, seated wide angle. So now I'm going to want to take a forward flexion. However, postural deviations, back spine issues, here's the way I would like you to try it. So we're going to use that yoga strap, and you bring it around the balls of the feet. Now, you're going to notice that I like to repeat some postures, and that is the nature of any exercise. It's never reductionist. So I might have this posture in mind for the inner thighs, but this posture also helps the hamstrings, right? So I might bring it in on that type of video. All right, so a lot of people sit like this. I want you to relax the shoulders, bend the elbows, and let those strong bicep muscles work. You're pushing out through the heels, pressing down in the underside of the legs. Breath again, in and out through the nose. So folks, it is South Beach. My days here are numbered. Because of it, it is just far too loud, and you might hear car horn, motorcycle go by, etc. I'm so sorry about that. It doesn't matter what time of the morning, afternoon, night, and literally wee hours of the morning I record. It's the same thing. So it's time to bid this lovely area goodbye and go elsewhere where it's a bit quieter. But so please forgive me if you hear some rumbling in the background. So you folks are gonna sit up tall. Now I wanna take this to the next level. So I'm gonna use the yoga blocks. And I'm gonna bring them out in front and press down to lift up as I push down and out. So there's always oppositional movement going on, particularly in yoga poses. Now you can stay here, or you can experiment with starting to slide out in front, but notice my chin is up, always wanting the, not always, but most of the time wanting the cervical spine of the neck and the lumbar spine of the low back to be in their natural position, which is a natural lordotic curve. So I like to think there's a back bend, which is a little bit of that natural lordotic curve in the forward bend. What I'm not doing is rounding down to the floor. So I'm just taking my time, and maybe you stay upright, but the moment you start collapsing that spine, you're not doing yourself a whole heck of a lot of good with that. And breathe. And then I'm going to bring the blocks toward me. When I come up, now I could choose to roll up, but I kind of like to do that same approach. A little subtle back bend in that lumbar spine as I come all the way back up. And then draw the legs together. What's that? Hip adduction, right? So I'm going to shake it out, windshield wiper from side to side. And now, crossing the ankles, rolling over the knees. You don't have to, you can swing your legs out to the side. I'm gonna grab a yoga block, and if you have knee issues for this posture, definitely use the yoga block or two. Knees together, feet apart. I'm taking the block underneath the buttocks, sitting back, and pulling the butt flesh back and out. Now I'm going to separate the toes. Just going to take a few moments to show some love to the feet. And I make a soft fist, so I don't pinch my nails into my skin, right? Just a soft fist. I'm going to roll through the length of the sole of the foot, but in particular, I love to work near the arches of the feet. And this is called Hero's Pose, Virasana. Definitely designed to help knees. And what I want to point out here is, you see how close the legs are together, right? So when we sit a lot, we are in hip adduction a lot. And those adductor muscles, those inner thighs, are working really hard. And in particular, there's a muscle called the gracilis, inner thigh muscle. But I want to show you, it has an attachment right here, and it's called the goose foot, pes anserinus tendon, and right in there. And two other muscles have that same attachment, a hamstring muscle, semitendinosus, as well as an anterior side of the thigh, we have the sartorius muscle. All three right here, but in particular that gracilis, because that one of the inner thigh muscles gets super stringy and super taut, and it literally can affect your health of your knee. Sometimes people think you have a knee issue. It's really because of a tight gracilis. So I just wanted to point that out to you. And now I'm going to slowly lift on off. And I want to come back out in front here. But now I'm going to bring the soles of the feet together. And they are a couple of feet, not several, but a couple of feet out in front of me. And I'm holding on to the shins, thrusting up the chest, shoulders back and down. And I'm just doing a little rocking side to side. I'm going to even pull the butt flesh back and out, making sure I'm rocking side to side on the ischial tuberosity, those sits bones. Hold here in the butterfly pose. Now you could do this with blocks here if you need, blocks that, a block or two that you want to sit up on. And then if you want to go deeper into this, you can go into diamond pose, slipping the hands underneath. Again, watch this with anything with that forward flexion, back spine and postural deviation, hyperkyphosis, I would avoid. So I'm holding on, chest up and forward. And you can always lower the forehead to the feet. This is excellent for the sacroiliac joint. So where does that tell you? By the sacrum and the ilium, the hip bone. Just thinking about lengthening, not rounding. Even though there's rounding, but I don't think of diving down. I'm going forward here. Belly button is in. And inhale the palms down, exhale, slowly slide back up. I'm going to draw the knees together, and then I'm going to extend them out in front, and I'm just going to push the calf flesh down toward the ankles, and then windshield wiper, tap, tap, tap. From here, I'm going to keep my left leg straight out in front. You have a couple of options. You can bend the right knee. I'm going to do this in a moment with the foot off to the side a little bit. Or you can bring the sole of the foot to the inner thigh. In that case, I would take your leg, if you're female, 1 inch to your left. And with the right, it would slide in a little bit more because we want the hips to be a little bit more squared off. But I'm going to go here and I'm going to push out. And sitting tall, you want to think about pulling that left hip back as we draw the right hip forward. Inhale, I lengthen. Back spine, postural deviation, use your strap. Exhale, take it forward. Don't think down, think forward. Also, TIA, stroke, be careful here, and medicated or not for hypertension. If you have vertigo or GERD, you might want to use that strap. Inhale, slowly come up. So we're in a variation of Janu Shirshasana, seated head to knee. Exhale and inhale. So now I'm going to bring the leg just about 1 inch off to the left, a little bit more, just a bit. Again, you can go here if you want. You can keep it out to the side, whatever works best for you. Now, I want you to focus on, this is a subtle little twist with the left shoulder, the right shoulder, right ribs going toward the left big toe. Lengthening. So from a yoga anatomical perspective, this is very good for the kidneys, spleen, and liver. But we know from Western approach that it's great for, I really feel this all the way from the plantar fascia, underlying the sole of the foot, through the Achilles tendon, the calf muscle, the hamstring, up to the glute and to the low back. So that's that whole posterior chain. And inhale, we lift up. Exhale, hands to the heart. Careful as you bring this one back out in front. Push the calf flesh because the knee was flexed. Shake it out. Now we're going to take it to the other side. Right straight out in front, butt flesh. Inhale the arms up. Exhale, maybe you dive forward, maybe you walk your fingers forward, maybe you use a strap. Left shoulder, left ribs, right? That subtle internal little twist toward that right big toe. Breath in and out through the nose. Take my time. This side is tighter. Inhale, come up. Exhale, hands to the heart. Support when you bring it back out front. Push calf flesh. Shake cheek. Windshield wiper. Lovely. Okay, now we're going to play here a little bit. We're going to tie in a little bit of the strengthening of the hip adductors, and the abductors are going to go along with it, the outer thighs. So let me just make sure my positioning here is all right for you. All right, now, carpal tunnel. I want to point out something. You can do a soft fist. So I'm going to show this next part of it with those of you with carpal tunnel in mind. Soft fist, do not curl your fingernails in. I'm going to go straight out to the side. Feet wider than the hips. Belly button is in. I'm in a wide-legged plank. Hold here. Now, of course, you can keep your palms flat, which I'm about to do now. Here we go. And I'm going to step in, out, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Hold. Just hold here. Push the ground away. Energy forward through the crown of the head. Energy back through the heels, contracting the thighs. Now I'm going to come into the basic plank. Yes, you can always stop and rest when you need to. Not a problem. Feel free to relax and then join back in. And breathe. Now, I'm going to poke myself up. Bend the knees, heels toward the sky, tail toward the sky. Approaching Adho Mukha Svanasana, down dog. I'm going to step my feet in a little bit so I can crouch down a little bit more. Then as I lower the heels, I straighten the knees, contract the thighs. Lastly, lower the head. Fingers are fanned out. Now, I'm going to come back into plank and I'm going to bring my knee across the midline, holding here. Belly button is in. One-legged plank. Breath in and out through the nose. Yes, we are challenging ourselves today. Three to 5 deep breaths to hold your poses. Then I step back out. Try not to let the head sag down. Kind of focus a little bit out in front of you with your eye gaze. It's called your drashti in yoga. Inhale, exhale, across the midline. Going toward the midline, remember, is adduction. Hold here. We're working the entire body here. Inhale, exhale, basic plank. And again, I'm going to come into the downward facing dog. So if you need a little break, you come on down. You can do child's pose, which is the big toes touch, hips, knees, I should say, wider than hip width apart. turn a little bit this way for you. And we sink back as we draw the torso forward. Balasana, restorative pose of the child. Here I'm choosing to roll up, belly button in. When you have a knee issue, you can put the towels behind your knees. You can put the block underneath. I want to come back to the down dog because I want to play here with angles, the positioning of the feet, little angles. Let me pull out a little bit here. Yes, okay, here we go. Coming to plank first. Knees are bent, heels are lifted high, tail up, straighten knees, then press the inner heels down, turn the outer heels slightly out, toes stretched wide apart, as are the fingers. Lastly, lower the head. Technically, your drishti is your belly button, but you can look at your thighs or your toes. Now, I am going to internally or medially rotate my feet so that the inner ankles, or I should say the heels, are touching each other. A little bit like a ballerina stance, a little Charlie Chaplin movement. And then I straighten the feet. And then I medially rotate, internally rotate. So the first one was lateral rotation, external rotation. This is now medial rotation, internal rotation of the toes, but lateral rotation of the heels. Getting all different angles of that posterior chain into the inner thighs. Inhale, straighten. Exhale, hold. Lower down. This time I'm going to come into embryo pose. Again, knee issues. You can put a block here if you like. You can put a block underneath your forehead. And I'm going to slowly roll on up. And I just want to pull a couple of toys near me. Yay for yoga toys. So from here, what I'd like you to do is we're going to come lying down on our backs. You'll have to forgive me. There's a lot of cat hair around here. No matter how much I vacuum, it's the way it is. His name is T. All right. So how to roll down onto your backs in a safe fashion. Number one, medicated or not for hypertension, vertigo, GERD. Yeah, I would definitely take one of those or two of those towels and put it underneath your head for support. Want that little bit of a lift for you. So you're holding on to the back of the thighs, and then you start to slowly roll down onto your back. Still let the feet pop off the floor. Another way is coming from elbow to elbow and then onto your backs. Otherwise, if you feel pretty good and you want to bring your legs straight out in front, that's great, but it's going to be more work on the abs and the back. Arms out, belly button in, chin is down, then you roll down. And from here, you can come into a full wind pose, knees to chest. You can rock side to side. However, I want to tie in a little bit more for those inner thighs. So place the hands on top of the knees and see what I do here. Make nice big circles, and I'm steering the knees away from each other and then back in. So it's blending hip abduction and hip adduction here. And then I'm going to reverse direction. Are you breathing? And I'm going to pull into happy baby pose, grabbing the outside edges of the feet. You can use a strap around the soles of the feet as well. And I'm just going to gently rock from side to side. Lovely massage across the back. Obviously, we're opening up the hips, the adductors. We're doing lateral rotation, which is external rotation. I'm going to hold here, and now I'm just going to straighten one knee. So you can either call this half of happy baby or half of that wide angle posture. So if you go for half of the wide angle, that would be Ardha Konasana. Ardha Supta Konasana, reclining. So half Ardha Supta, reclining Konasana is angle pose. And then I'm going to rebend this knee. Inhale. Exhale, straighten the other side. Pushing out and pulling down here to the outside. So, you know, this is a wonderful stretch for the inner thighs, but the hamstrings, again, the calves, right? It's just great. Now let's take it. Well, actually, let's take it here. Let's do the full one. Trying to almost press the lower back down. So you're in full out reclining wide angle pose. Supta Konasana. And then I'm going to rebend, come back to happy baby. And pull the knees in. Now I'm going to set the feet down, and I'm going to grab one of the yoga blocks. So you want to put the block, I'm taking it level 1, this would be level 2, and up here would be level 3. I'm going to take it for level 1, and just bring my feet closer to the butt to lift off the floor. You want to make sure that the block is perpendicular to the wall in front of you, not parallel, because I really want this to land underneath your sacrum, that kind of inverted triangular shaped bone at the base of near the base of the spine. And we're in a supported bridge for the moment. Now from here, I would like you to take the soles of your feet together and let the knees gently drop open. If it's too much, remove the block. So we're getting the inner thigh stretched. We're getting, because of the height now, we're working with those hip flexor muscles as well. But I find that this is a nice one for that gracilis muscle I was talking about with the inner thighs. Man, if you get that injured, it's nasty. It's just kind of super tight. I'm just going to do a little bit of gently rocking from side to side. And then holding at the center. And you can support yourself, placing the hands underneath those outer thighs. Draw the knees together. And now I'd like you to bring the knees up into the chest. So I like doing this on the block. It feels really cool on that low back. And I'm going to ask you to grab your strap and bring it around the balls of your feet. And then we're going to go straight up toward the ceiling. I just want to make sure I'm fully correctly on the block here. Yes, okay. So I'm pushing up through the heels. The toes are stretched wide apart. And I'm pulling, I'm not overreaching. A lot of people do this, right? The hunch up. So just bend the elbows. Let's recruit those biceps here. You're pushing up to pull down. Viparita Karani, legs up the wall, no wall. One of the few inversion postures you can do with hypertension, okay? It's because it's not advised to do inversion with hypertension. However, if your medical healthcare practitioner okays this for you, then go for it. It's also considered from a yoga, Eastern philosophical perspective, that it's excellent for hypertension, as I said, vertigo. It's also good for insomnia, and varicose veins. Now from here, we're gonna play. We're gonna start to bring those legs out super wide. So I'm just double checking. Is my strap kind of even on both sides? Well, yes, it is. Hello, back to that variation on seated wide angle. And now we're doing it supta style, which is reclining. And we're adding salamba, which is supported. Holding here. Stretching the adductors by going into abduction, ABD, going away from the midline. And then inhale, using the power of the inner thighs and gliding up the strap. You kind of scissor those legs. And then exhale, just one more time, opening out and holding. Pulling on that strap with strong arms, not overly pulling from fingers or the wrist nor the shoulders. Inhale, exhale. Whoa, we're going to draw those legs together. And I'm going to remove the strap, bringing the knees toward the chest, gently lowering one at a time. Now, we kind of got some work in here, right, with those hip flexors. So let's just double check your block feels all right. You don't want to pinch it. You don't want the corners pinching into you. I'm going to bring the legs out in front. So we're going to take here a reclining supta supported, because we're on the block, salamba, dandasana, which is staff pose. And we kind of feel this all the way up too into the lower abdominal area. And if you want a deeper stretch, you bring your block up to the next level. Now I'm going to have a shot at that again without the props, okay? So we're going to walk the feet close to the block, heels up super high, palms down alongside, lift up, stay up there, slide the block out and away, but stay up there, right? Just stay there. I'm going to roll and tuck the shoulders under. I'm going to come up a little higher. Slowly lower down. Walk the feet an inch or two out in front. Stay there. Just let that lower back settle. And let's come into goddess pose. So now I'm going to pull my hips closer to my heels as I bring the heels closer toward the groin area. And if you want to get a nice stretch at that shoulder girdle, you take a hold of your elbows and lift the arms up and overhead and land down basically behind the head. And if you want, if it's too much on your shoulder girdle, then you can put a block underneath the arms. And breathe. Beautiful posture to do after eating, and it's really one of the few that you can do after eating. And I would suggest you alter the grip on the elbows, opposite arm overhead. Land those forearms and wrists on a block if need be, but the block isn't on top of your head, right? It's behind it. It's on the floor, not on your head. And then I'm going to sweep my arms open wide and slowly draw the knees together, bringing the knees toward the chest. I'm going to bring my legs straight up, holding here, again, in that variation of Viparita Karani, legs up the wall, no wall. Lots of work going on abdominally here, folks. Lots of work in the core. Quads are working, hamstrings, the abs, back muscles are engaged. And you really press down into the forearms, the wrists, and the palms. You're going to recruit back muscles as well, stretching the toes wide. And now I'm going to bring the legs out wide, and we're going to return here.
pressing the small of the back down. Showing those inner thighs, lots of love. When we bend the knees, happy baby. Rock side to side. And lower the feet down. I'm going to roll over to whatever side is your most comfortable side. I'm supposed to say to the right, but I'm going to tell you whatever makes you comfortable. And that's what we have for you today, folks, here at Boomer and Beyond Wellness. And folks, if you find value in the content, I would really appreciate it if you subscribed, and feel free to share it with others and maybe give it a kind comment and hit the notification bell to be reminded of when the posts are current. And if you're interested in working with me privately, I do work virtually for yoga and with senior fitness, with personal training, and also on the opposite end of the spectrum with the yoga. I also do work virtually for prenatal yoga, and I've been doing a fun approach to training. Some people don't want a full hour session, and so what I'm offering are 10-minute sessions for one exercise, just one person. It's basically a branch off of the new Have It Your Way workouts. So we do a deep dive into one exercise. So if you have a chronic concern, you can approach this from however you want to put together your particular exercise protocol. So now we're starting to add quite a number of the Have It Your Way workouts, so you can pick and choose the exercise, or hopefully exercises that work for you. You can contact me by way of the contact form on my website, which is boomerandbeyondwellness.com. I'll repeat it, boomerandbeyondwellness.com. Thank you so much for your support. Eat your greens, eat your beans, stay hydrated, and until next time, please be well.